Welcome, I'm Cassandra, and this is your general and love forecast for 18. This is for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. I'd like to take a moment to let you guys know, for those of you who do watch videos every month, you're going to notice that this reading is different. And I just simply wanted to change things up for this month. And so if you like this reading, please drop a comment below and let me know if you like it. If you would prefer that I go back to the old format, drop that comment in the box. If you don't mind and you like both ways, let me know that as well. I would greatly appreciate your feedback. I want to make sure that everyone's getting what they want, so to speak, so out of the readings. So we will still be clarifying, but I'm going to do the first, second, and third card, the sixth card, and the 10th card. So without further ado, let's jump into this. Okay, for the first card, for our Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings, we have the Hanged Man. So it seems that you guys have definitely gone into a bit of a contemplation period. You guys may be considering making some pretty big life changes. You guys may be just, feeling like you're stuck in a rut. You're just tired of the same old, same old. And so you're really considering making a huge change. And for some of you, a lot of you may actually be considering making sacrifices that you would have never made before in order to go in a new direction. And for some of you, this can indicate that maybe perhaps some of you feel stuck. Some of you could be stuck on a certain situation that's occurring in your life, and maybe you're trying to go within to find the answers. But more times than not, the answers are going to lead you to make a change, to go in a different direction, so to speak. Sometimes we just have to leave what is familiar behind and go into the unknown, and sometimes that's just what we need, Sagittarius, you guys got a soul of adventure, so for some of you, that'll be music to your ears, so change. Okay, so here we have the circumstances card, and we have the devil in the reverse position. So this could be indicating that some of you could perhaps be dealing with a toxic karmic relationship or partnership. It could be a romantic one, or it could even be a platonic one. This could be a marriage, a romantic relationship. This could be a friendship. This could be a business partnership. But, it has become toxic. It's not doing any good for you. And a lot of times there's fear or an obsession, especially an obsession. Perhaps maybe you've been obsessed with a certain situation, certain person, or, obsessed with the way things should be, But overall, the devil in reverses, this is about us saying, hey, we're no longer going to let our obsessions, we're not going to let our fears, we're not going to let a toxic karmic relationship, we're not going to let any addiction we have control our life and rule us. This is where you're breaking those shackles, you're breaking that bondage. You don't want to be tied to a fear. You don't want to be tied into a karmic relationship anymore. You don't want to be, tied into an addiction. You're ready to just break those shackles. You want to release yourself from that bondage. And with the devil card in reverse, this allows you to remove yourself out of a situation if this is what you desire. Now, this would be the focus card. So here we have the Chariot, and I always refer to this as the victory through adversity, because with the Chariot, we're always going towards a goal, and I also normally associate this card with, first and foremost, Cancer, as we have the symbol of Cancer here. But I also refer to this card as Sagittarius energy as well. Because you're charging forward, you're going towards a goal, you're trying to accomplish something. And with the Chariot, that's very good energy, so you could absolutely get what you're going after. And if any of you have been having issues with, say, an adversary or an enemy, this is definitely a good sign showing that you will triumph over any type of adversary or enemy that comes your way. So, just keep going forward and focused on your goal. Sure, some things come up, to, say trees falling in the road, So, just be alert, swerve those trees and keep on going. Now, for your recent past, now some of you could still be in this energy, but it is moving away. And then for those of you, this is already in your past. So here we have the Ten of Coins. So this is about us having money. And this is also about, a happy family life, but we are financially happy as well. Sometimes this can actually indicate large corporations, big business things. This can also indicate a type of business that is like generational, where it's handed down from one generation to the next. So it can be a generational wealth type of thing. And for some of you, maybe you had gotten a job at a big business or a corporation. Maybe some of you are working in a family type business. Maybe some of you actually inherited a family business. Maybe some of you have, just simply inherited some money or had a windfall of money come in. So this could be different things. But the overall message here is that, that you guys did receive some form of money. This could have come through, just about anything. Some of you could have had an unexpected windfall. Some of you could have received some money from a family member. Some of you could have received an inheritance. Okay, so this card is about our present, the here, the now energy. So we have the Three of Swords in the reverse position. So this would definitely indicate that you guys have been through somewhat of a hurtful situation here. And you're now in the process of trying to heal up from this and move on. So this could have been a relationship. This could have been a romantic relationship for some of you. This could have actually been one where there could have been unfaithfulness, a third party situation. Or this could just simply be indicating that you were hurt by someone that you loved, and it could have, that pain could have been very, very deep. Because in the upright position, it definitely indicates that, it is fresh. With it being in the reverse, it's already happened, but you're still dealing with it and you're beginning to get past this. Now, this doesn't have to necessarily be a romantic relationship. Perhaps someone that you're related to or someone that you've been friends with for a long time, said something that was pretty awful, or did something that was pretty awful and it hurt you. So, this doesn't have to be romantic love. This could be platonic love. It can go either way, especially when we're talking about, cards that have things to do with love. It can be romantic or platonic. So, but this is definitely indicating that someone has hurt you or you were hurt by someone's actions or behavior, and you're now in the process of healing from it. Now, this is the card of your near future, and here we have the Nine of Cups in the reverse position. So, for those of you who have been wishing for something to happen, yeah, this would indicate a no. And this is the near future, so, this could be a week, week and a half out. Or it could be literally tomorrow. For some of you, you already be going through this right now, and for some of you, this is going to play out over the next, couple of weeks. But if you have been waiting for an answer, hoping for something that you've wished for to happen, it's not going to happen. Now, there is always a possibility where you receive a partial wish and that, it doesn't come through exactly the way that you wished for it. And maybe you only get half of what you wanted. And yeah, that's just not good enough. So I can't wait to clarify this. Okay, this would be your attitude card. And this is the Two of Swords. So I got the feeling that most of you are experiencing a bit of indecision in regards to something that where you have choices. Maybe you have several choices. Maybe you have different things you can choose from. But you're at a point of indecision. You don't know which one you want to pick. Or should I do this or shouldn't I do that? That type of thing. So a lot of times these decisions are a bit of an emotional nature because of the water behind her. But she's also holding those swords up. And she is also blindfolded herself. And she's done this on purpose. Because she's going within. She wants to get her answers from her higher self, her intuition. So some of you may be going within and being a bit introspective right now to get your answers, because there is a choice that has to be made and you may be feeling a bit indecisive, so just go within for the answers. Okay, this is how other people would see you. Here we have the Tower in the reverse position. So this can indicate that something that was initially pretty shocking, this could have been a very shocking situation initially, and it's not so shocking now, but sometimes this can just indicate that there is a refusal to move past it. Because the Tower card is about an awakening, where a situation occurs, something happens, and it could be a bit shocking. And maybe you're just not moving past it. But inevitably, you have to move past it. We cannot stay in the same spot. We must move forward, But we cannot stay in the same spot, We don't want to be a hamster on a wheel. We get nowhere like that. Sometimes this is just like us feeling like we're backed into a corner. But we really must face what we've not wanted to face here. Now, the Tower, is ruled by Aquarius. So some of you could be dealing with an Aquarius. Or you're just dealing with this general energy. But a lot of times there is a feeling that life is just not being fair. Like life is not giving you a fair shake, You feel like circumstances are just literally conspiring against you with this type of energy. But sometimes some of you feel like you're backed into a corner. Maybe some of you do want out of a situation, but maybe you're scared. Well, we've got several cards here that are showing, that you can remove yourself out of the situation if you choose to. And we also have several cards here that are showing, karma being, cleansed, so clean slate, so to speak. But with this card in general, this is, something shocking. It's not so shocking anymore. It was initially shocking. And it's set in now, okay? But you need to deal with the situation. We can't avoid it. And when it's in the reverse position, it's being avoided. So someone could be looking at you like you're not dealing with the situation, or this could very much be how you are looking at someone else. So you be looking at someone like they are not dealing with the situation, and they're refusing to come out of that life's just, unfair, and they're just simply trying to avoid the inevitable, so this can go either way. Okay, so this is about our hopes and fears. This is a hope, automatically, okay? Seven of Coins, this is a wonderful card. This is about reaping what we sow, so we definitely want to sow good seeds. But this is also about a good return, a good harvest coming in. We have to work hard, but we reap a very good harvest. So this can definitely indicate good money. So this coming in, so this is definitely what I would classify as hope. Because I don't see anyone being scared of, receiving money through their hard work. You know what I mean? Okay. Yep. All right. Final outcome card. We got the boon. Yep. Oh, Lord. So, yeah, you guys might be dealing with some deception. It could be deception from others. It could be self-deception. Or you could be dealing with someone who is being self-deceptive. But the moon, the moon can intensify our emotions. So sometimes, we can be a pretty chill, laid back person, just like Sagittarius, pretty chill, laid back. But the moon can exaggerate our emotions. And so sometimes we can end up having an emotional outburst. We might make a mountain out of a molehill. Or we have a very legitimate reason, but maybe we just go a little too far. It's always a possibility. Now, for some of you, I really need to say this. For some of you, you could be having issues with sleeping. Some of you be experiencing insomnia type of issues. Yeah. And some of you could be dealing with a bit of anxiety as well. But the moon card, there is always the main message I give with this card is you definitely need to pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to your gut feeling. Do not ignore your gut feeling with this type of energy, okay? A lot of times there is a feeling, that feeling of knowing that there is something big coming, that there is a big change coming. We'll feel that. And if you feel and have been feeling like, something big is going to happen, then this is an absolute, you're right, something big is going to happen. There is a big change coming. Sometimes it can be a very positive change. Sometimes it can be positive, after we go through, it can be experienced as negative in the beginning, but it leads to a positive outcome. But yeah, do be careful of your emotions because sometimes the moon can give us a bit of an overactive imagination. Yeah, so you definitely don't want to freak out on somebody because your imagination's working overtime. And see, this card is a bit of an enigma here because, you know, sometimes you could have a crazy intuition and on the surface you look at it like that's just nuts. That's got to be imagination, but it may not be. And then sometimes it's just your imagination, so it can be a bit of a tricky situation here. But overall, this is why I say trust your gut feeling because your gut feeling will always lead you the right way. The moment that you second guess your gut feeling and you start rationalizing and making excuses and thinking, oh, well, no, it could be this or it could be. No. Listen to that first initial gut feeling. Don't question it. Because when you question it, this is where we get into trouble. So just focus on that initial gut feeling. So for the bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Cups in the reverse position. So this would definitely indicate perhaps that some of you could be having a not so good thoughts about the past. Some of you may be feeling like you're haunted by thoughts of the past. Some of you could be focusing on how things were in the past, whether it be with a lover or a friend, a cousin, a brother, a sister, whomever it be. Sometimes we get stuck on focusing on how things were in the past, and we get caught into this frame of mind where we're wishing that things could be the way that they were in the past. And if that's resonating with you at all, please do try to focus on the here and the now, because what happened in the past is the past. We cannot change it. And if you're looking to the past because you're wanting things to be the way that they were in the past, well, more times than not, that means you need to move away from a certain situation. That or the situation needs to undergo a complete transformation in order to work. But a lot of times this is someone focusing on the past, focusing on how things used to be, perhaps, within a relationship, whether romantic or platonic, you know. Say you had a really good friendship with someone and things went sour. And so maybe now you're focused on, all of the good times and the things that happen. And maybe you're thinking, oh, I wish that things were like this now. But that type of thinking isn't going to hurt us. I mean, it's going to hurt us in the long run. I mean, it doesn't hurt to look back on the past because, we learn from our past and the things that we go through. But we don't want to get stuck on focusing in the past and I wish it was like this. No, we need to deal with it as it is now. And we need to either try to fix the situation or simply be done. For me, the feeling is a lot of you will end up being, you're not going to be able to reconcile fully with someone in the past, or you're just not going to be able to make things work. But I'm not going to go too far with that interpretation yet, as I am not done. So, now, while I was beginning to shuffle clarifying cards, I had one fall out, so I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to throw it out here. Nine of Swords in the reverse position. So, some of you could have definitely been through a loss. Perhaps some of you have been very, very worried. Maybe some of you had nightmares. They would be subsiding now, but sometimes this can indicate that we're staying focused on what happened or something that we went through that caused us a lot of mental anguish and pain. This can be a card of unfaithfulness in romantic relationships. So some of you could have dealt with a situation like that. Sometimes we can have a bit of an overactive imagination and then we're stuck in the past because we're just focusing on everything that went wrong and we're not moving forward. And we need to move forward. But the Nine of Swords in the reverse position is about the sun is going to come out tomorrow. It's darkest before the dawn, but we will make it through this. A healing is taking place. Now, for a few of you, I do need to mention that this can indicate that you may have had surgery. And if you have had surgery, then you are recovering. The recovery could be a bit slow for some of you. This can indicate a surgery. Yeah. Okay. So, our clarifying card for the Hanged Man is the Four of Pentacles. So, right off the bat, the Four of Pentacles, this is about us having financial security, working our hiney off, to maintain that financial security. Sometimes there's a tendency to people look at us like we're greedy with our money. And it's not that we're greedy, it's just, we had to work our hiney off to get it. And so some of us just may not be so ready to just hand our money over to just anyone. You know what I mean? So some might think you're selfish, but that is simply their perception. Unless you really are being selfish, then call yourself out, But The Four of Pentacles can indicate that you are definitely clinging on to something. I mean, do you see how hard she is hanging on to this pentacle in her hands? I mean, she's got both hands on it. She got her feet on the ones on the bottom. Like, yeah, don't try to take pentacles. These are mine. So this can definitely indicate that you be clinging maybe to your money, maybe to a person, maybe to a way of life, maybe to, a certain situation. Maybe you have been clinging onto a situation that you need to move past. Maybe because you were clinging to it, you kind of put yourself in a state of, stasis where you're not moving, you're not doing, I mean, you're definitely going within, but ultimately you're not moving forward, you're not moving out of this situation, you're clinging on to it. And with the Hanged Man, ultimately we need to make a sacrifice. I'm not saying sacrifice your money. I'm just saying you need to make a sacrifice as far as making a change. Because with the Hanged Man, we're considering making a huge life change. And it is very common for us to want to hang on to what is familiar to us. And it can be a bit frightening to move forward into unknown territory. But in order for this, change to fully manifest, change of direction, we have to let it go. Because that's what the Hanged Man is about. We got to let it go. Okay, so then here's your advice card. So here we have the Lovers. So for some of you, again, the Lovers card, people are automatically going to be like, oh, well, I'm not even in a relationship. What are you talking about? So this does not have to be a romantic relationship. It is for some of you, okay? But this could be a platonic relationship. This could be a marriage. This could be a romantic relationship. This could be a friendship. This could be a relationship, of, someone you're related to. This could be someone that you're in a business partnership with. But overall, you would have had feelings for this person, and when I say feelings, I mean you would have cared about this person. You care. Okay? But with the Lover's card in the reverse, it's definitely showing that a lack of harmony has taken place within a particular relationship, whether it be romantic or platonic in your life. And that is why you were contemplating making this huge change, but yet you're still clinging on probably to this relationship or this person, or maybe a way of thinking that, how this relationship should be. Because the Lovers card in general is about us having to make a choice, us having to make a decision. So for some of you, you may have to make a mind over heart decision. Especially if it's resonating with you that you have a relationship with someone, like I said, romantic or platonic, and maybe you've been hanging on to it when you know you should ultimately let it go. Yeah, just sit with that momentarily. I come back to it. Okay, so here was our circumstances card. We had the Devil in the reverse position. So the Devil is about, toxic karmic relationships. It's also about our obsessions. It's about our fears. It's about our addictions. Five of Cups in the reverse position. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse position. So this is definitely indicating that you experienced a loss or a disappointment, probably within a romantic relationship. But again, it could be platonic, it could be a friendship. But there was a loss and a disappointment. And it would would very much have ties. It's probably a karmic relationship. So that could have made it even more painful because, karma sometimes can be brutal. But with it being in the reverse position, your hope is renewed. Things are going to get better. You're healing. And then we also got the Queen of Pentacles in the reverse position as well. So for some of you, this could have been, the Devil card is the Capricorn card. Okay? Queen of Pentacles, this could be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. So some of you could be dealing with someone from the earth element, but it doesn't have to necessarily be that. I mean, it could simply just be representing the energy, okay? But the Queen of Pentacles, when she's in the reverse position, she's definitely not showing her better side, okay? And this could be someone that you were dealing with, or maybe even something that you have taken on, personality-wise, from the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Now, the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, typically she has suffered some sort of loss. A lot of times this is the material loss. And yeah, this just puts her in a really bad way. She's moody and she's detached. Unfortunately, the Queen of Pentacles, she can definitely, when she's in the reverse position with the Devil, thankfully the Devil is in the reverse position, so you're not going to allow yourself to be taken advantage of by someone, and that's good. You don't want to allow yourself to be taken advantage of. You need to know your own worth and know that you deserve better, okay? You don't want someone that's going to bring you down. But, Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, she's definitely suffering a loss. This makes her a not so nice person. She does become very moody and pessimistic. And, some of you could actually be a bit pessimistic, or maybe you were just simply dealing with someone that was pessimistic. For some of you, this could be perhaps a mother for some of you, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. This could be someone that you would receive, nurturing from, perhaps maybe you felt like you had to try to fix someone, but it didn't work out. It just, led you to a loss and a disappointment, and now you're healing from it. And ultimately, you need to let this go because, it was a toxic situation. And with the Devil in the reverse, you need to let it go. It's fear and, perhaps even an obsession or an addiction to something or someone is what kept you hanging on for so long, but it really wasn't to your benefit. So whatever it was, you just need to let it go. Oh, looky here. Then we get the Nine of Wands in the reverse position. This is our Moon and Sagittarius card. So with Nine of Wands in the reverse position, this is definitely indicating that you have fought long and hard. You probably did fight long and hard for whatever this situation is, And if you continue to keep yourself in a battle that is inevitably coming to an end, you can end up making yourself ill. Because with the Nine of Wands, this is definitely indicating that you don't have the physical stamina or the physical energy to keep doing this. And the emotional energy, you are like at the end of your rope. You don't have enough of that energy to keep battling with someone. It's simply just not worth it. It's not worth the fight. So you really just need to pull yourself back, and you need to take a time out. You need to rest. You really need to rest because you're very close to breaking yourself down emotionally, mentally, physically, especially physically. Okay? Sometimes we're pushing ourselves past, our point in a physical way. Maybe you're working too much, but all this is leading to you being exhausted, so it's just definitely in your best interest to let this go. Because the Devil in reverse, we are being released from that bondage. We are allowed to move forward. You don't need to keep fighting for something or for someone, okay? Because all it's going to do is wear you out and make you sick. And you don't need that. Sometimes, even if the person is worth it, sometimes we just need to let go and let God. Or let go, let the universe, whatever works for you, okay? Sometimes miracles, and personally in my life, every time I've ever truly let go and surrendered it, miracles happen. Things can turn around. And if they don't, then it just simply was not meant to be. And it is what it is. You just got to deal and move forward. And just know that you will heal. And you will be led to something much better down the road. And it just takes time for us to see that. That you couldn't have gotten to where you are and you're all happy, but you had to go through that situation in order to go through this new door that you went through that makes you happy. So, there is a purpose for everything. No matter how crappy it may be, there is always a reason. And hey, you guys are the very souls of optimism. So, handle that optimism, because that can really help you know that, tomorrow is a new day. We get a new chance tomorrow. We can make a change, Focus our thoughts on good things, that can really turn things around for us. Okay, so we have our focus card. We have the Chariot. As I refer to it, victory through adversity. We're definitely going after, one of our goals or one of our dreams. We're trying to achieve it. Okay, yeah, we got 2 here as well. Okay. So, 2 clarifying cards. We have the Fool and we have the Princess of Cups. So, the Princess of Cups, also known as the Page of Cups. You could be working towards getting into a relationship, or maybe you're wanting to get into a romantic relationship. It doesn't have to be romantic. This could actually be a friendship as well. And maybe you have a great desire to, reconnect with someone. Sometimes this can indicate that, we want to reconnect with, an old friend, maybe we had a falling out. And maybe we want a new start with this friend, and maybe this is, one of your goals. Maybe you want to reconnect with an old lover. Maybe that is a new direction you're going in and you're trying to accomplish it. Maybe some of you have been, presented with a new opportunity to go in a new direction. You're going after a goal. Maybe this goal could be doing something in regards to art. Maybe some of you are wanting to do something with music. Maybe you're very artistic. Maybe you're very musically inclined. Maybe you want to, take up a career in that area. So this would definitely indicate forward movement towards it. This could also indicate that perhaps some of you just be focused on wanting to get into a new relationship. Maybe you desire a new direction, a new person to love, and you're going after it. The Princess of Cups is also about us receiving messages of love or encouraging messages as well. Okay, yeah. So for advice, we get the Queen of Wands, typically Leo, but hey, Sagittarius is fire energy as well. So the Queen of Wands, she is a mover, she is a shaker. She's a very dominant force, okay? She's in a reverse position, so she's definitely not showing her best side. Now, the advice here with the Queen of Wands in reverse, go after your goal, okay? But do be careful that you do not become, too strict, domineering, bossy, pushy, or even arrogant, I mean, a lot of times when the Queen of Wands is in the reverse position, this is her aggressive side coming out rather than her creative side, so in reverse, this is the aggressive side. So you definitely want to be careful too. It's okay to pursue your goal, with a touch of with a touch of that, but you don't want to be overly aggressive, okay? I mean, you really got to be determined to go after something you want, but we don't want too much aggression because this can cause us to attract opposition. This can cause us to experience, difficulties in achieving what we want. And, this is really a beautiful set of cards here showing that we can really implement, a change of direction in regards to what we're achieving. We have the ability to go down any path or any direction that we want to right now. As long as you are very passionate about this direction, yeah, go for it. Just don't be overly aggressive. Don't be too pushy. Don't make any foolish decisions either. Okay, so near future. We had our Nine of Cups. This is a wish not being fulfilled or only partially fulfilled. So we have the Hierophant and the Prince of Pentacles. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, well, right off the bat, you have definitely, maybe some of you were expecting, to hear back, get a wish fulfilled through perhaps an Aries, or it could just simply be the energy, okay? Or it could be, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. There definitely seems to be a lot of Earth cards in here, so yeah. Well, we got Earth, we got a lot of, we got all the combinations: Earth, Water, Fire, Air. We got all the elements. But yes, now the Hierophant, perhaps something that you were wishing for. Maybe you refused to conform in order to obtain the wish. Or maybe if your wish was about someone in particular, maybe they refused to conform. A lot of times with the Hierophant in general, we fall into line and we do conform, okay? And sometimes this can indicate that, we kind of go with the masses instead of, being our own person. And that's not what's best for Sagittarius. You guys have a very free spirit, but I've known plenty of Sagittarius that will conform and fall into line, especially if it's someone that they love. But the Hierophant also rules things that are very traditional, marriage, college, schools in general, religion. So, maybe you guys refuse to conform in order to get what you wished for. And hey, I don't blame you if you refuse to conform. I mean, you got to be true to yourself. Only you can be true to yourself. And you know what's best for you. So you have to follow that, Nobody else can do that for you except for you. So be faithful to yourself above all else, okay? Now we have our Prince of Pentacles. which is also a Capricorn. There does seem to be a lot of Capricorn energy in here in your reading. Maybe you have planets in Capricorn. Maybe you're dealing with someone that does. Or maybe it's just the overall energy. Or it could be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Or Aries. Okay, so with the Knight of Pentacles, he brings, messages, and typically they're good messages concerning, say, perhaps a pay increase or even a new job offer. The Prince of Pentacles can also be someone that is a financial investor. It can also be someone who is a broker. But overall, whatever news the Prince of Pentacles is bringing you, it is very good news. It's positive news. Maybe some of you had applied for a loan. Maybe you didn't get what you wanted, and that part blows. But, anytime we are denied something, it's because it's not right for us or it's not the right time. And sometimes we have a hard time understanding that. Some things just aren't meant to be, and some things just aren't meant to be for right now. And that is the general overall vibe I'm getting for this. Okay, so advice card, Ace of Coins. So some of you definitely could have had a bit of a financial wish, But you really need to be careful because with the Ace of Coins in the reverse position, this is definitely indicating that too much money is being spent on frivolous type of things. So you really need to take notice, and you need to get the things that you need, not the things that you want, Some things you actually need, and other things are things that you just want. And under the Ace of Coins in reverse energy, you don't want to be getting the things that you want. You don't want to be spending money on those things, okay? Because we really need to buckle down with our finances, We need to rein in our spending, We need to be on a budget, so to speak. So while we do have very good, financial news coming, we're still being cautioned that we do need to be careful with our money. We don't need to go crazy with it. We need to be on a budget. Like I said, there's a difference between things that we want and the things that we need. We need to focus on the things that we need and not the things that we want, right now. We need to save money, okay? We need to save money. For some of you, maybe you were trying to put an investment or a business together and it doesn't work out. And maybe this business costs a whole lot of money or costed you a whole lot of money. Maybe there's just things that you haven't taken into consideration. Sometimes things can just literally pop up out of the blue and you're like, oh God, all these unexpected expenses. I was not counting on this. We went way over budget. So the Ace of Coins is saying, slow down, you need to budget. Okay, for the final outcome, we had our Moon card. First card, we get the Temperance card. This is you guys. Okay, yeah. Ouch. Okay, now this is very, very crazy. I'm almost positive that Virgo got Five of Swords as a clarifying card on their final outcome. Don't remember what the final outcome card was at this very moment, but I am positive that the Five of Swords came out. Okay? And seeing how you guys did have the Queen of Pentacles, some of you could be dealing with, a Virgo. Or someone that, has Virgo type of traits about them. Okay. Now, Temperance. This is about us being patient and tolerant with other people, learning to work within a team. Teamwork equals dream work. We really can achieve what we want, You have that feeling that something big is coming? Well, you're definitely going to have to be patient with others. You're going to have to work with others. But, very good things can come from this. But we also have the Five of Swords here. So, this is definitely indicating, first and foremost, it can be indicating the severing of ties. And for some of you, you may have been feeling this coming, that you're going to be severing ties with someone. This is also someone who may try to start problems for you. I refer to this card as the asshole card, who is spoiling for a fight. Because this type of energy with the Five of Swords, he just his words are very, very cutting and hurtful, and he does not care. They don't care if they are hurting you. In fact, that's what they want. They are trying to hurt you. They are trying to cause a problem for you. And this can indicate, a cruel way of severing ties with someone. That could be on your end, or that could be, you know, you on the receiving end. You could be on the giving or the receiving end of these energies here. But I'm feeling for most of you that you've been feeling a big change coming. You know that something was coming. And this person is just definitely not, they're not going to see things your way. And there can be a bit of a cruelty. And a lot of times with the Five of Swords, there is deception. There is some big deception involved. So someone absolutely be lying to you, especially with the moon here. Some may have been lying to you, keeping something from you. But the great thing about the moon card is that what this person has hidden from you, the moon will expose it. It will come to light. It will be revealed. And so when it gets revealed, you're really going to need to be patient. You are going to have to try very hard to be patient and not choke somebody out. Because this person, sometimes they can really push you to that limit. This person isn't, I'm sorry, excuse my French, but this person is just an asshole. Oh, but looky there. The advice card is the Nine of Cups in the upright position. So, yes. So this is definitely indicating a severing of ties. Okay? And you guys definitely feel that something is coming, that there is a big change coming. Perhaps some of you are already dealing with this troublemaker and you just know. Okay? But, this is wonderful. We get the Nine of Cups. So this is definitely indicating, because, the moon here, this clears our slate. Once we make it through this situation, our slate is clear. We've been cleansed of our karma and we get to move forward in a new direction with, good karma, no bad karma. And so we get that opportunity to plant that seed of a new wish. And maybe for some of you, when you do go through this whole transition, maybe you end up getting something that you wished for. It's probably going to be a much different wish than this one. But overall, a wish of yours could come true. So out of something bad, something good will come. Positive and negative. Duality, light and dark. Out of something bad, something good is going to come. Now, let me give you a warning. All this wine here, do be careful, because dealing with this deceptive type of situation and the severing of ties, you want to start drinking. Or, this could, maybe you prefer recreational drugs. Maybe you might prefer crocheting. Sometimes, no matter what it is, if too much of anything can be a bad thing, okay? And this is where temperance comes in, because moderation in all things, that's what we need, is moderation. Especially when we combine the Nine of Cups here, we need to have moderation. Too much of anything can be bad for us, like I said. It could be drinking, it could be recreational drugs, or it could literally be knitting. I mean, it could be just about anything, If we do it to excess, sometimes we'd be trying to escape. escapism can come up here. This is our Jupiter in Pisces card. Escapism. It can come up in a big way, where we try to use these things to try to escape what we're dealing with. So don't do that, okay? I'm not saying don't, drink, indulge a little. That's, it's fine as long as you do it in moderation, okay? Moderation. And just know that you are going to get another wish of yours. And, it's going to be unexpected, especially with the moon here. This may be a wish that you made from your past, or that you have long forgotten. And somehow through this shitty situation, it's going to manifest. So it definitely seems like you guys are going to be severing ties. You're going to be dealing with someone who is trying to cause you a whole lot of problems, Sag. Oh, God, I don't like that. I really don't. Okay, Six of Cups. Okay, we get Queen of Wands in the reverse position yet again. So this is yet just another message of saying, don't be overly pushy. Don't be overly aggressive. Perhaps some of you have to deal with someone in your past, okay? Maybe someone from your past comes back, okay? Maybe this person might be acting aggressive. Maybe this person is a Leo. Maybe this person could be, Aries, Leo, or another Sagittarius. Or it could just simply be the energy, Somebody come back from your past that you have to deal with, and they may not be the nicest person. They might be a bit overly pushy, bossy. And that's not going to sit well with you guys. Okay, wow. Yeah, so then we have the Ten of Wands. So this is the mentally and physically oppressive burden, okay? Well, this is also Saturn and Sagittarius. Perhaps someone comes back from your past and they're asking you for help. They're wanting your help. And you know what? You got some irons in the fire yourself. You cannot handle, you think you could handle carrying their load, but you got enough of a load of your own that you don't need to be taking on anyone else's problems right now. I mean, we cannot be weighing free-spirited Sagittarius down. No. That does not work for me. So, you need to recognize that you cannot take on this load. It's advisable that you don't take on anything else because you yourself already have a few irons in the fire, so to speak. And you need to deal with your own things. Don't try to take on someone else's. As much as your heart is in the right place, you don't want to take on someone else's burdens, okay? You need to deal with yours. Because you can only handle this for so long before you're going to collapse. It's a very heavy burden. Do yourself a favor and don't take anyone else's problems on. Okay, yeah, sorry. This is definitely over an hour. I'm trying to be quick here. Okay, so this is the Love Oracle cards, and I did do them a little bit differently. This is for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs that are single, okay? So, okay, first card out is separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. So some of you were in a relationship and now you're not, and it's because there was a separation that took place. Forgiving and learning. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. I don't know where I put become. Okay. Trust, yes. Absolutely. This situation is calling for you to have faith. So for those of you who are single, there is definitely a situation in your life where you need to trust what is going on and you need to have faith that things will turn out the way that you need them to. Whatever is best for you, have faith that it will happen in the way that it is best for you. And that could be pretty direct that, if you want to get into a relationship, you need to trust someone. You may need to have faith. You need to take that leap of faith. like the Fool. You know, if you want. We always have choices. Free will, I love it. So this is for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs that are married or in a committed relationship. So first card out is Release Your Ex. The time has come to clear your energy. Now, you'll know which cards resonate with you. They're not all going to resonate with every single one of you, okay? So some of you Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings, you do need to release your ex. Because they are just not doing any good for you. They're just holding you back. Then we have True Love. This is the romance of a lifetime. So some of you Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, some of you have someone that is absolutely fabulous and you do have true love. Good for you. Lucky you. And then we have finances and career. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. So yeah, I could definitely see that where finances are definitely affecting, your love life in general. And for a few of you, you might actually work with the person that you're with. Yeah. But in general, your finances could be affecting your love life. Sometimes when our finances are bad, things can just spiral from there and we can't even focus. We got to focus on the one thing. Oh, yeah. Energy's all over the place here. Okay. It was a bit of a bumpy ride, Sagittarius. I'm sorry. I was really hoping for better for you guys. I mean, not that it's totally negative, okay? Because you're about to get rid of some karma. You definitely went through a disappointing situation. You didn't get something that you wanted. Definitely seems like some relationship type stuff, whether it's romantic relationship or platonic relationship. You definitely are dealing with situations on that end. You still need to let go of something, and start healing. But you got a new start coming. And you definitely got to be careful for someone who may try to start problems for you or someone who is going to potentially try to deceive you. So do be on the lookout for that. But just know that, you have been blessed with the Nine of Cups in the upright position. So it looks like through this situation in your new slate, your slate being cleared, that you will get a wish that you made. And this could be a wish that you don't even really remember making. You'll remember it once you receive it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you liked the way I did this reading, please let me know. If you would prefer I go back to the other way, let me know. If you don't mind either way, let me know that too. And I do appreciate your feedback. I love you guys. Do keep your head up. Do not lose your optimism, okay? Do not lose that optimism. Stay strong. Focus on the positives, okay? Because you can conquer all of this, okay? Take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Absolutely. And do what you know is right for you. Follow your own gut feeling, okay? Do what you know is right for you. I love you guys, and I will talk to you next month. I'm sending you blessings of healing, prosperity, and love.